In the shadowed alleyways of Atlanta, a flower bloomed amid the concrete, a bloom forged from blood, silence, and betrayal. It was not a rose that grew in the light, but a dark rose, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. "They say roses grow from concrete," I whispered to the walls of my cell, but mine grew from a coma and a funeral. I wasn't meant to see another day. Each breath I took was a verse, a reminder that I had survived when so many had not. I was Kurt Cobain, a name whispered in both reverence and disdain, a shadow lurking in the corners of a world that had turned its back on me. When the world fell silent with the arrival of COVID, Atlanta transformed into a ghost town. Streets that once pulsed with life now lay barren, echoing with the sounds of my searing pain. The charges against me loomed overhead like dark thunderclouds. Gun possession, they said. A threat, they said. I was simply trying to survive, but in their eyes, I was marked. Locked away in a cell, I learned the harsh lesson of 23 and 1. 23 hours confined in solitude. 1 hour of freedom if I was lucky. No visitors, no calls. Just me, the concrete walls, and the echoes of my thoughts. I clung to scraps of paper, writing my story on toilet paper, napkins, and even my own skin. My fingers bled with every word, and soon the guards began quoting my lines, each syllable a rebellion against the silence that threatened to consume me. Outside, the world moved on with merciless indifference. I lost Barbara, found decomposed in a bathtub. They said it was an overdose, but I knew she was haunted by her own demons. My cousin fell victim to a bullet, and my best friend was murdered. Each death another brick added to the wall of grief encasing my heart. My name became synonymous with tragedy, whispered in the streets not as a celebration, but as a source of speculation and suspicion. They said I was finished, cursed, a harbinger of misfortune. But I wasn't dead. I was sharpening. In the confines of my cell, silence taught me about the volume of memory and the power of thought. I built an empire within my mind, crafting verses that could cut glass and plans that would reach beyond my confines. Books became my companions, law my armor, and pain transformed into poetry that echoed through the halls of my prison. When the day finally arrived for me to step back into the world, the city did not embrace me. It regarded me as a specter, a threat, a myth come to life. I chose not to grant interviews or attend parties. Instead, I poured my soul into music. I released Dark Rose, each track a eulogy, every beat a bullet, and the response was a cacophony of emotions. Some cried, some celebrated, while others deemed me dangerous. But I was not creating for them. I was telling the stories of those who would never have their voices heard. As time moved on, I began to plant real seeds of hope in the community. I mentored youth, built studios, and offered verses as therapy. I wanted to turn my pain into purpose, to show that even in the darkest corners, a rose could bloom and emit the scent of hope. Yet the streets have a long memory. My past still lingered, enemies shadowing my every move, and nights were often spent with one eye open. But I did not seek revenge. I sought resurrection. I wanted to prove that beauty could thrive amidst chaos. I am not merely a rapper. I am a survivor, not a legend, but a lesson. I faced adversity, jumped, shot at, locked up, left for dead. And yet here I am, still writing, still breathing. I have lost more than I can count. Family, friends, freedom. But I emerge from the depths of a coma and a cell, with verses potent enough to raise the dead. This trilogy I call music is not just sound. It is scripture, a testament to survival. I am Kurt Cobain, and this is just part of my story. In the heart of Chicago, where the air is thick with the scent of exhaust and the sounds of sirens blend into a chaotic symphony, a boy entered the world not with the sterile silence of a hospital, but amidst the rumble of a city that never paused. Barbara, his mother, drove through the relentless contractions as if the city owed her a lane. With each scream, she pushed through the pain, and as the vinyl of the back seat felt cold against her skin, he arrived into a world that was already moving. This was the beginning of his tale, a story born in motion, a tale that would carry the weight of his existence in every pulse, every breath. The city didn't blink. A horn blared, a bus hissed, and a passerby cursed at the crosswalk. The first lesson he learned was simple yet profound. The world will not pause for your breath. As he inhaled the chaos around him, he learned to breathe while the world was in constant motion, an unyielding rhythm that would define his life. As he grew, he and his friend Duca became two boys with an insatiable curiosity, looking for escape in the most dangerous of ways. One day, they unearthed a cheap orange lighter from a dusty drawer, believing it to be a key to a hidden world. With a flick, the curtain ignited, and the flames danced hungrily, transforming the air around them into a swirling tempest of heat. In that moment, they screamed, the thrill of their discovery quickly morphing into terror as smoke enveloped them like a ghost that knew their names. Barefoot and shivering on the winter sidewalk, they witnessed something powerful and frightening. Fire had responded to their call, and they were left to grapple with its wrath. Life took on a new shape as he entered foster care, a system that didn't raise him but recycled him. Each new house held its own set of rules, and he learned to navigate love like a rumor, taking notes in the language of footsteps and shadows. He became invisible, a quiet observer of chaos, mapping danger by sound. In the silence, he found solace, crafting his voice into poetic whispers that could rise above the mundane clamor without being touched. At 12, the world shifted again when a woman extended her hand, inviting him into her last name as if it were a warm coat. She was a blend of discipline and kindness, and he yearned to be the boy she saw when the lights flickered on. But grief, stealthy and unforgiving, snatched her away, leaving him standing in the doorway, head bowed, feeling the weight of absence. In that chasm of loss, he turned to writing, his only lifeline in a world that felt too heavy to bear. Duca was his anchor, a whirlwind of chaos and loyalty. Their bond was forged in the fires of their shared experiences, and they spoke in glances and unvoiced promises. In the basement, amidst broken speakers and the embrace of smoke, they honed their craft, wrapping each other's wounds with music and words. They were not just friends, they were a vow, a promise of loyalty that ran deeper than blood. Then there was the boogeyman, a figure who loomed large in their lives, a mentor whose lessons were etched into the very fabric of their beings. He taught them how to navigate the gritty underbelly of their existence, to move like smoke and speak only when necessary. Under his guidance, they learned the value of silence and the high cost of every choice. But like all good teachers, he vanished, leaving them to carry his lessons into the world alone. Barbara, his birth mother, became a distant echo, a radio signal that crackled through the years. Though they shared no history, her belief in him felt real and raw, framing the emptiness in his heart. He wore the weight of two mothers, one who fought demons, and another who battled paperwork. From them, he learned the delicate dance of mercy and steel, of leaving versus being left. Hollywood beckoned with its bright lights, a stage that felt like a dream. For a moment, amidst the applause and smoke, he believed he had found warmth. But the city of angels demanded a toll, the ground beneath him always ready to pull him back to where it all began. The mirror reflected emptiness, yet he tucked the applause in his pocket, a reminder of both triumph and isolation. As the world around him shifted, he found himself in a space of loyalty that began to fray. The room filled with tension, words escalated into shouts, and fists flew with a ferocity that left him gasping. A calm figure with brass knuckles swung at him, and with each blow, reality slipped away, folding into darkness. Time became a distorted haze as he lay in a coma, drifting between past memories and present pain. When he awoke, the world felt different. White walls and wires like vines wrapping around him. He asked for a pen before water, and in those early moments he began to stitch himself back together through writing. News spread around him like smoke, whispers sharpened into blades, and paranoia danced just beyond his reach. Yet he wrote, letting the ink become his only trusted witness. As circles collapsed around him, he faced the ghosts of his past, friends lost too soon, and the looming specter of COVID that sealed the city's fate. Pain erupted in his life once more when his daughter fell ill, a sickness that twisted every prayer into a frantic plea. When she didn't make it, he was left with an unbearable silence. 3 days of darkness before he found the strength to write again, pouring her laughter into every line. Locked away in isolation, he faced 23 hours of solitude, with only 1 hour to breathe. The fluorescent lights buzzed around him, and he resolved not to fold. Instead, he envisioned a place for kids like him, a sanctuary where their names would not turn into case numbers. Through the cold, hard reality of the court system, he learned the true cost of freedom and emerged understanding the weight of every step back on familiar ground. Returning to Peoria, he felt the air shift, love and rumor entwined in a small city that watched him closely. Armed with a hammer instead of a press release, he transformed a room into a studio, birthing SNG from the ashes of his past. Kids flocked to him, each bringing their stories, their pain, and their rhymes. He mentored them not through sermons, but through repetition, teaching them the art of survival in a world that demanded they remain unseen. Finally, he released Dark Rose, a testament to every wound and scar, each track a petal cut from his soul. He didn't write for those who had already decided who he was. He wrote for the boys who slept in their shoes, for the girls who memorized license plates, and for the mothers who prayed until their mouths were dry. In that moment, he transformed his pain into something beautiful, a legacy that would bloom where ashes once lay.